The sun was burning bright, and the air was filled with dust. Ayaan, a young farmer, was watering his dry fields when he heard a weak cry coming from the far side of the land. At first, he thought it was just the wind, but the sound came again, soft, trembling, and full of pain. Curious and worried, he walked closer, pushing through the dry grass. There, under the shadow of a broken tree, he froze. A tiny lion cub lay on the ground, its body covered in dust, ribs showing, and eyes half closed. It looked like it hadn't eaten in days. Ayaan slowly knelt beside it, his heart heavy. He knew one thing for sure: without help, this little one wouldn't survive. Ayaan looked around carefully, his eyes scanning the empty fields. There was no sign of any adult lion nearby, only silence and the dry wind. He understood right away. This cub had either lost its mother or been attacked by another predator. The thought sent a chill through him. He took a small bowl from his bag, poured some water into it, and gently let a few drops fall near the cub's mouth. The cub's lips moved weakly, its tongue trying to catch the water, but it was still too weak to drink. Ayaan's heart ached as he watched. He whispered to himself, "Only milk can save this little one now." And he knew exactly where to get it. When Ayaan reached home, he carefully placed the weak lion cub beside his cow. At first, the cow stepped back nervously, unsure of this strange little creature. But Ayaan gently stroked her head, whispering softly until she calmed down. Then, holding the cub in his hands, he slowly guided it closer to her. For a moment, everything was still, and then the cub lifted its tiny head and began to drink directly from the cow's udder. Ayaan held it steady, his hands trembling with emotion. The cow stood quietly, as if understanding the cub's pain. It was a moment no one would forget, a mother giving milk, not to her own child, but to another's. After a few minutes, the cub's breathing slowly began to steady. Its tiny chest rose and fell with new strength. It lifted its head for the first time and rested quietly beside the cow, as if feeling safe for the very first time. Ayaan brought clean water and placed the cub under a cool shade to protect it from the harsh sunlight. Then, with gentle hands, he cleaned its small wounds, applying turmeric and a bit of ointment. The cub flinched slightly but didn't resist, it trusted him. 2 hours later, its eyes opened wider. For the first time, it looked alive again, fragile but fighting. Ayaan smiled softly. Hope had just begun to grow. The next morning, Ayaan gently carried the cub back to the cow. This time, the cow didn't hesitate at all. She stood calm and still, as if she already understood that this little one needed her help. The cub began to drink again, more eagerly than before, its tail moving slightly with each sip. Ayaan smiled, feeling a deep warmth in his heart. He whispered, "From now on, your name is Simba." The name felt right, strong, yet gentle. As Simba finished drinking, he looked up at Ayaan with brighter eyes. There was a spark of life, a tiny light of hope. For the first time, Ayaan believed Simba might truly survive. When the villagers saw Ayaan caring for a lion cub, everyone was shocked. Some stood in awe, whispering, "He's showing real humanity," while others warned, "It's dangerous, lions can't be tamed." Curiosity soon turned into gossip, and one man secretly called the wildlife department to report it. When Ayaan heard the news, fear filled his heart. He worried they might take Simba away, the cub he had saved with his own hands. But then he looked at Simba, resting peacefully beside the cow, and made up his mind. With quiet determination, he said, "I started this with love, and I'll finish it with the same." Nothing could shake his resolve now. The next morning, a team of wildlife rangers and a veterinarian arrived at Ayaan's small farm. They expected to find a frightened cub, but instead, they saw Simba sitting calmly beside the cow, completely peaceful. The vet knelt down in disbelief and said softly, "This is a miracle. The cow has accepted him as her own." The rangers exchanged amazed looks, their voices filled with respect for the farmer's kindness. The vet advised Ayaan to continue feeding milk but slowly add small pieces of solid food to help Simba grow stronger. Ayaan listened carefully, determined to do everything right. In that moment, a simple farmer had become something greater, a quiet savior of wildlife. Within a few days, Simba began to change. He was no longer the weak cub Ayaan had found in the dust. Now, he followed Ayaan around the farm, stumbling playfully and brushing against the cow's legs. His fur started to shine again, and his body grew stronger each day. The vet continued to visit regularly, giving Simba vitamins and checking his health. The cow always stayed close, often licking him gently as if he were her own calf. Together, they formed a quiet family, bound not by nature, but by care and love. Villagers watched in awe, realizing they were witnessing something rare, a man and an animal working together to save a life. 2 months later, the rescue team returned with news Ayaan had been dreading. Simba was now strong enough to move to a wildlife sanctuary. Ayaan said nothing. He simply sat beside Simba, watching the cub that had once been at death's door now full of life and power. Simba licked Ayaan's hand gently, then walked over to the cow and rested by her feet, as if saying goodbye to his second mother. Tears filled everyone's eyes. Even the rangers grew silent, moved by the bond they witnessed. Ayaan softly whispered, "Now it's time for you to be the king of the jungle." Simba looked back once, his eyes shining with love and gratitude. At the sanctuary's open field, the rescue jeep came to a stop. When the gate of the cage slowly opened, Simba stood still for a few seconds, the wind brushing through his golden fur. Then, with calm strength, he stepped forward into the wild sunlight, his coat shining like gold. For a brief moment, he turned back, his eyes soft yet proud, as if remembering the man and the cow who had given him life. And then it happened. Simba lifted his head high and let out a mighty roar, one filled with life, freedom, and gratitude. That sound echoed across the jungle, marking the end of his struggle and the beginning of his destiny.